Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
How are you today?
I'm good. How about you?
Okay, very well, thank you. Okay, before we discuss our material today, I would like to say thank you for your joining my presentation. Okay, today I would like to explanation to you about developing a standardized test. What is developing a standardized test? If you're a classroom teacher, you are not likely to be in a position to develop a brand new, large-scale standardized test with a team of test designer and research. However, it is virtual certainly that someone you will be in a position to revise an existing test, adapt to expand of existing tests, and create a smaller scale standardized test for a program you are teaching in. Even if none of these three scenarios should ever apply to you, it is of paramount important that you understand the process of development of the standardized tests that have become ingrained in our educational instruction. So there are 6 steps to standardized tests. Next. Next. Next slide. Can you hear my voice? Yana? Okay, there are 6 steps to standardize tests. Step 1, determine the purpose of objective of the test. Most standardized tests are expected to provide high practically in administration and scoring without unduly promising validity. The initial outlay of time and money for such as the test is significant, but the test is usually designed for repeat use. It's therefore important for its purpose and objective to be started specifically. And then let's look at the 5 standardized tests. There are 5 standardized tests. Number 1, test of English as a foreign language. We can see TOEFL, Educational Testing Service. And number 2, International English Language Testing System, IELTS, Complete Local Examination Syndicate. And 3, Person Test of English Academy, PTE Academy, Person. Number 4, Michigan English Language Assessment Battery, MELAT, Complete Michigan Language Assessment. And the last, Composition for Multilingual Student Placement Test, CMSBT, San Francisco State University. Next step. Step 2, design test specification. To illustrate the design of test page, we focus on the TOEFL. Dozens of employees are involved in the complex process of reviewing current TOEFL specification, communicating, and developing tasks and items, assembling proof of the text, and performing ongoing exploratory research related to formulating new speech. Proceeding such a complex process to set up simple step, runs, and rates of growth over generalization, but here we provide an idea of how the TOEFL is created. Step 3, next. Step 3, design, selected, and arrange tasks or items. When specification for standardized tasks have been stipulated, the often endless task of designing, selecting, and arrange item begins. Speech acts much like a blueprint in determining the number and type of item to be created. Let's look for example for the EAD academic reading section and illustration of the contraction of text and items. Step 4. Next. Step 4, make appropriate evaluation of different kinds of items. Concept of item discrimination and distraction analysis. As the discussion there shall such calculate, provide useful information for classroom tasks. Sometimes the time and effort involved may not be practical, especially if the classroom-based task will be administrative only once. These indicators are, however, essential for the standardized multiple choice task that is designed for commercial market and administration number of time and administrate in a different room. Next, step 5. Step 5. Specify, scoring, produce, and reporting for formats. For an example of scoring produce, let's take a look at the University of Michigan Labs. The standard form of the text is defined into 3 parts. Number 1, writing composition. Number 2, listening comprehension. And number 3, for different subsection on grammar, flows, vocabulary, and reading comprehension. Score report provides result for each of the 3 parts plus a final score that is essentially a mean of 3 section score. An edition option available as selected. As center is a speaking task, and a score is provided the speaking task where available. And last, step 6. Perform ongoing construct validation studies. From the above discussion, it should be clear that no standardized instrument is expected to be used repeatedly without a curious program of ongoing instruction validation. Any standardized task used developed must be accompanied by systematic periodic collaboration of its effectiveness and by step direct its improvement for administration to administration. Okay, maybe that's all about our material about developing a standardized test. If you have any question, please ask me. Can you hear my voice? Any questions so far?
Okay, I will ask you.
Okay, we will continue our discussion. So, any questions so far about my explanation?
Okay, I have a question, and my question is, can you give me an example of the sentence specification in TOEFL?
Okay, for example, design task specific in TOEFL. For example, in TOEFL, academic listening skill. For example, in listening section, listening material in the task include academic lecture and description, conversational speech, sounds very naturally, and then you can take notes of any listening material throughout the entire task. And then the listening section is your ability to understand spoken English. In academic, you must be able to listen to lecture and conversation. And then, for example, 2 purposes of academic listening. For example, listening for basic comprehension and listening for pragmatic understanding. Okay, maybe that's all about example design text specific for TOEFL. Can you get it, Fitrianingsih?
Okay, I get it. Thank you for the answer.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, maybe that's all about my presentation. Thanks for joining in my room. I will say thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Goodbye. See you.
Goodbye.